In a ruined world, we see Earth, broken and battered. A solar flare messed up our ozone layer 10 years ago, pushing temperatures up to a scorching 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Our home, Earth, became mostly unlivable, scorched by UV rays and threatened by wild weather. Our main character, Finch, comes into view. He's a tech whiz in a heat-resistant suit, accompanied by his trusty robot, Dewey. They're out hunting for supplies, as they do every day. But when they enter a store, the readings show dangerously high UV radiation. Dewey grabs what's left in the store, while Finch grabs some dog food. After leaving, he marks the spot, so they won't return. Next, Finch treks through an abandoned, broken town, a victim of the ozone layer's depletion. UV rays make going outside a no-go for most folks, so the city's mostly empty. Suddenly, Finch's suit warns of an incoming storm. He turns his truck around and floors it, with the massive storm hot on his tail. Thankfully, he reaches his underground lab, his old workplace before the disaster. We find out Finch is sick with tuberculosis. His dog and buddy Goodyear waits for him at his big house. After hugging and petting Goodyear, Finch prepares the food he found. As supplies dwindle, Finch uses an AI to upload basic instructions for his next project, like how to take care of a dog and how to do chores. He's creating a specialized robot to care for Goodyear after he's gone. Finch has been studying UV rays and radiation. Later, Finch takes Dewey's eyes and fits them onto his new robot. He powers up the robot and starts sending data. After a few tries, the robot finally nods, showing it understands Finch. Finch is thrilled, seeing progress. He plays with his dog, hoping for a new friend. Finch then asks the robot to share something about itself. The robot says it has some rules, like not hurting humans, but the most important is caring for Goodyear when Finch is gone. Suddenly, the power goes out. Finch heads out to fix the wind turbine and, after connecting the cable, the lights come back on. Inside the story, the robot decides to name itself Jeff. Meanwhile, a massive storm is approaching. Finch returns and connects Jeff to a weather station to get a forecast. Jeff predicts that 4 different storms will hit them in the next 24 hours, and they won't be able to avoid them. He also says the storms will last about 40 days. Hearing this, Finch believes they need to leave the area, with San Francisco as their best option. Finch starts building Jeff's entire body. After completing it, he increases the robot's transfer rate and begins teaching him how to walk. With some practice, Jeff successfully starts walking. While Finch is pleased with the progress, Goodyear, the dog, isn't too sure about Jeff and doesn't trust him. As the storm gets closer, Finch packs essentials and unplugs Jeff's data transfer at only 72%. This leaves Jeff not fully developed, making him act like a child. Finch calls Dewey to join them, but forgets that he removed Dewey's eyes. So he attaches a camera to help Dewey see again. The group, consisting of Finch, Goodyear, Jeff, and Dewey, climbs into an RV and sets off towards San Francisco. At the beginning of the journey, Jeff is very curious and tries to learn everything Finch does. For now, they've successfully evaded the storm. They stop in a deserted town, and Finch wears his UV protection suit. He calls Jeff to join him outside and teaches him the basics of scavenging and the dangers of the sun. They even have a little fun popping popcorn under the harsh sun. Their fun is short-lived as Finch spots the approaching storm. He gathers everyone and tries to outrun it, but the storm eventually catches up to them. Finch and Jeff work together to secure the RV with wires. When Finch gets tired, Jeff takes charge and completes the task successfully. They get inside the RV and the massive tornado hits. Wires start snapping, but luckily, the storm passes and everyone is safe. Finch appreciates Jeff's help, but finds out that the front tire of the vehicle is damaged. They have a spare tire, but no jack to lift the vehicle. However, Jeff uses his sheer strength to lift the vehicle, and Finch changes the tire. The next morning, Jeff tries to communicate with Goodyear and learns the dog's language. But Finch explains that it will take time for them to become friends. Later, they notice a sign that says San Francisco is 1,522 miles away. Jeff asks Finch to explain the concept of trust. So Finch shares his life story, mentioning how he once solved a software problem on his own, but credited the whole team to gain their trust. As time goes on, Finch's health deteriorates. They stop at a restaurant, where Finch vomits blood. Realizing he doesn't have much time left, Finch takes Goodyear inside the restaurant and spends time playing with him. Meanwhile, Jeff is goofing around in the RV, playing songs while trying to drive. But his clumsiness gets the better of him, and he accidentally releases the handbrake, causing the RV to collide with a car. When Finch confronts Jeff, He acts innocent, but then reverses the RV, crashing it again. A furious Finch shows Jeff what happens to his skin in the sunlight and scolds him, reminding him that his main job is to care for Goodyear. After leaving the restaurant, Finch decides to teach Jeff how to drive. At first, Jeff is as clumsy as ever, but he quickly gets the hang of it and starts driving smoothly. Finch is pleased, but the dog remains skeptical. They stop by the road to camp at night, and they're treated to the beautiful northern lights, a sight made possible because the ozone layer is gone. Jeff suggests driving at night to avoid the hazardous daylight, but Finch explains the danger of hungry people at night. In the morning, Finch vomits blood and shivers. Jeff takes good care of him, asking if he should call a doctor. They continue their journey. When they reach a major city, Jeff wakes Dewey, and they set out to scavenge for supplies. They come across a looted hospital, but Jeff, being new to the situation, goes inside. When Finch wakes up, he discovers that both robots are missing and realizes trouble lies ahead. Despite being extremely weak, he suits up and sets off to find Jeff and Dewey, sensing someone is watching him from the shadows. Upstairs, Jeff finds food, medicine, and a fancy jacket for himself. Meanwhile, Dewey finds snacks but doesn't notice a bear trap nearby. It ends up catching him, tearing him apart. A distraught Finch finds Dewey and apologizes before turning off his power. Soon, Finch hears a rumbling sound and finds Jeff as well. He stresses that they can't stay at the unsafe place any longer. Both of them make a run for it, but Finch is struggling to stay on his feet. When they reach their RV, they speed away, but a vehicle begins following them. As they drive further, Finch hands over the steering to Jeff, telling him not to make any mistakes. The mystery car keeps tailing them, and Finch suggests Jeff step on the accelerator and speed up. They're heading into a storm, and Finch grabs the wheel, steering the RV off the road and towards an underpass. Despite Jeff trying to explain that the RV is taller than the underpass, Finch doesn't listen and crashes, damaging the RV's solar panels. After the crash, Jeff uses his strength to push the RV inside the underpass. The car that was following them stops briefly and then drives away. Finch rushes outside, finding their solar panels damaged, and blames himself for his poor judgment. He says he can't fix it, and Jeff offers to take them to San Francisco, but Finch tells him to stop talking. An angered Finch heads back to the vehicle while Jeff waits outside in the rain. After a bit of exploring, Jeff joins Finch inside and suggests they can make it to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Meanwhile, Finch shares another story about why he doesn't trust people and how he found Goodyear in a bag, alone and terrified. He recalls how he promised to protect Goodyear at any cost. Finch adds that hunger can turn even good people into killers, but it turned him into a coward as he hid while some young boys killed a young girl and her mother in a supermarket. The next morning, a sign indicates they are 480 miles from San Francisco. Jeff takes the wheel while Finch, weak, rests. Suddenly, Jeff spots a butterfly on the windshield. He stops, wakes up Finch, and points at the butterfly. Finch reaches out to find that it's unaffected by sunlight. He steps outside, feeling the sun. The UV radiation has decreased, no longer a threat. They see flowers and more butterflies and share a moment of laughter. They pass through flowering plains. Finch gets dressed, and they decide to have a picnic in the sun, something he hasn't done in over a decade. Finch shares more of his memories, expressing his wish for a fuller life. Jeff excitedly mentions that they can reach the Golden Gate Bridge in about 18 hours if they leave now, but Finch sadly says he can't make it. A disappointed Jeff promises to take care of Goodyear after Finch is gone. Finch brings out Goodyear's ball and they play fetch. He hands the ball to Jeff, explaining that it's a way to build trust with the dog. They have a brief moment of fun, but suddenly Finch starts coughing up blood, his white suit stained. Jeff offers to help, but Finch declines, shaking Jeff's hand and hugging him. It's clear that Jeff has emotions, and he assists Finch into the RV, where Finch lies down. Goodyear comforts Finch while Jeff packs their belongings. Finch pats his loyal buddy one last time before passing away. They then cremate Finch on the plains, along with his UV suit. After their mourning, Jeff continues Finch's daily routine and cares for the dog. They play fetch again, and Goodyear starts to feel safe and bonds with Jeff. Jeff takes on the responsibility and they set off. When they finally reach the Golden Gate Bridge, Jeff constructs a memorial for Finch. They discover messages from others looking for their loved ones, offering hope for family reunions among the survivors. In the final scene, Jeff attaches his drawing of Finch, Goodyear, and himself to the fence, and they leave for another destination together. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel, and we will meet in next video.